Okay, men, we're continuing to look at Abram and Abraham, the great man that he had became, and how God took raw material at 75 by 100. We'll get into this. He had Isaac, and he became a great man of faith. But here in Genesis chapter 17, we looked at yesterday the fact that Abram decided to identify himself the way that God said he was. And then later on, God instituted really the sign of the covenant. In verse 11, "And you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between you and me," or me and you. And what I want to talk about, part of this development, is that there was a sign of a covenant. We call it circumcision. It was biblically called circumcision, a cutting away of the flesh. Now, this was a fleshly thing back in Old Testament times, but in the New Testament, part of the thing that we see in the New Testament that it's a sign of was a cutting away of the flesh, a cutting away of sin. There was a side of taking a knife and cutting that flesh off, and to a degree likened in the New Testament to cutting away sin. So men, if we're going to be a man of God, and I've walked with God, I'm in my 40th year of walking with God. And you know what? At the beginning, there were things that I had to cut out of my life. And even today, I'm still cutting things out of my life. Maybe they may be different than what I started with. I'm not dealing with the drugs, and I'm not dealing with the alcohol, and I'm not dealing with the pornography. But maybe I'm cutting away attitudes, and I'm cutting away pride, and I'm cutting away some other things that may not be as obvious to other people, but yet they're on the inside of me. And so I say this, that as we take a look at the story of Abraham, and God's development of him, that we as men may have to take some time to take out the knife, the two-edged sword of the Word of God, to cut some things. It doesn't just happen once. I mean, you had one time of circumcision. You didn't need it a second time. But I think sometimes we as men, we have to continue to take out the knife to cut off some things in our lives and to get them out of our lives and not just put up with them, but take some time to cut them away. And I'll say this, there's not anything wrong with you as a man that if you continue to have to cut away some things. All of us are cutting some things out, whether it's a little bit of anger, whether it's a little bit of attitude, whether it's a little bit of pride. We're going to have to take some times in our life that we're, in a way, cutting away the flesh out of our lives because it's just part of your walking with God. So man, don't feel discouraged if you're still dealing with stuff. We all are. That's part of being a man. But thank God we've got the Word of God to help us cut those things away.